What's up, Meta Nerds? This video will be a complete breakdown of the Eta-2 or Jedi Interceptor, the replacement for the iconic Delta-7, looking at everything from its background, price, capabilities, and under the armor to see how it all worked. It is manufactured by Kuat Systems Engineering and is within the Delta line. The Aether Sprite or Delta-7 replaced the Delta-6, and funny enough, it is called the Sprite class. And while all these have Delta in the name, the Delta series contained the Alpha 3 or V-Wing and the Eta, basically all these more nimble craft. At a length of only 5.47 meters, or 18 feet 3 inches, it was more than a tall Wookiee shorter than a Delta-7, and around a quarter the ARC-170, while its width of 4.3 meters or 14 feet 1 inch made it only a bit wider than Jabba the Hutt. And its height with these tips of the wings extended is 2.5 meters or 8 feet 2 inches, making it a whole Jawa shorter than the AT-RT. The smaller size made it great in dogfights and did give it a great atmospheric speed of 1500 km per hour or 932 miles per hour, making it 240 km per hour faster than its predecessor, and 300 km per hour quicker than the TIE Fighter, whose major selling point was its response time. But like the TIE, it loses the shield generator, giving up a shield generator on a starfighter line while in the middle of the largest war since the time of the Sith Empire, while everything else from the ARC-170 to the Delta did have shields. Seemed like an insane choice to most Jedi, who made sure to voice their concerns with the Kuat design team. The Revenge of the Sith could have just expressed itself in asteroid fields or simple blaster weapons, and many Jedi feared that this was incredibly foolhardy. But that was before they actually got their hands on the Eta-2. Its 125 megalight speed, or how fast it goes through space, puts it tied for 5th place in the entire galaxy across all history, coming to an acceleration of 5200 G, which gives it faster acceleration than the TIE Defender. But to appreciate how insane the Discord missiles were, which were fired by the HMP droid gunship and deployed buzz droids, those are said to have an acceleration of over 10,000 G, which is why almost nothing could outrun them, and you had to hope for other support systems to remove the buzz droids, or try to outmaneuver and lose them. It had no onboard hyperdrive system, which also saves on weight and cost, and is true for all the Delta series ships and even the V-19 turret. But these hyperdrive docking rings are Class 1 rated, which is the fastest way to travel through hyperspace without custom one-off ships like Slave 1. Let's pause and thank this video's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and is now available for free on PC and consoles. I'm sure if you're into our ship and vehicle breakdowns and real-world comparisons, you've heard of War Thunder. With 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to the fighter jets and main battle tanks of today, all with incredible detail and sound design that bring you into the battle unlike anything else out there. War Thunder offers 3 distinct modes. Arcade suits those craving fast-paced matches with enhanced vehicle performance and simplified physics. Realistic mode, the perfect middle ground, strikes a balance between intensity and authenticity, while simulator mode ditches all guardrails for the ultimate challenge. And that's why there's a worldwide community of over 70 million players in PvP battles today. It is simply the best game out there for anybody interested in vehicle combat and military history, with something for the most casual to true historians. So start playing War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox now by using my link in the pinned comment or video description. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms that includes multiple premium vehicles, a 50% experience and income booster, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account. It's available for a limited time only, so be quick and use that link. But with that, let's go under the armor plating and see where everything was. Starting at the rear, we get a pair of ion engines, fed by this high-power reactor which is being fed to Bonagas via these tubes, with the heat exchanger right up here. We get an even more detailed cutaway of the engine unit itself, showing the electrostatic plates around the thruster nozzles, with the electromagnetic vectoring tech allowing the pilot to make precision adjustments to the flow of ionized gas being propelled out the back, changing the thrust stream by up to 30 degrees. And that's on each engine independently, allowing for incredible maneuverability. It is inside this chamber that ionization happens, creating the stream of mostly invisible to the blue color we see that contains these ionized particles being ejected at near light speeds. These are the repulsor lifts, which are the lightest and most simplest out there. It's just to get this thing off the ground, while right in the middle we see the stern landing pad. Moving forward, we get the acceleration compensators, which are often overlooked, but these are like repulsors in the sense that they also manipulated gravity, but in this case to compensate for the intense accelerations that starships underwent during high-speed maneuvers, thus preventing their occupants from being killed by excessive G-forces. Off to the right we get the starboard power cell, but there are many of these spread across the ship, some dedicated to crucial systems. Moving back up, we see these cylinders, which are the life support systems, containing oxygen in the case the ship is stranded in space or on a non-Type 1 breathable atmosphere planet. There's a small amount of space right behind the pilot's seat, enough space for some MREs or survival material, maybe extra comms or small weapons, but it should not exceed 60 kilograms or 132 pounds. The cockpit itself may look crammed, but it is more accurate to say it's form-fitting, as there was no extra space but also not described as uncomfortable, with excellent soft touches in crucial areas, with padding on the seat, armrests, and they even thought about your knees banging around while pulling off high-speed maneuvers. There is a joystick here in each hand, and the data screen on either side providing a wide array of data from enemy ships, the status of the Eta-2, environmental scans, and text updates from command or the astromech unit. The unique bubble design and large window that would be very similar to the TIE Fighter all work to make this ship feel even less claustrophobic, but it also served a practical reason, giving the pilot an incredible view of their surroundings with their own eyes, which was invaluable to Jedi pilots whose bodily sense and connection with the Force were integrally connected to their ship, and essentially just an extension of all the technology in the Eta. Continuing, we get to the astromech, which would usually insert via devices in hangars or could maneuver into position via their jetpacks. And though there is no onboard hyperdrive unit, they could calculate the routes when connected to the ring, and act as co-pilot during travel and battle, collecting data and working to repair and recommend solutions to any issue that arose. And of course act as secondary weapon systems in an anti-buzz droid role. Moving forward, we see the primary laser cannons in the middle and the secondary ion cannons on the sides. Though in a rare modification, these would be swapped out for concussion missile launchers, carrying a max of 2 missiles on each side. Going out to the wings, we see an emergency toolkit nestled here, and the pop-up headlights just in case you thought this thing couldn't get even cooler. Backup emergency capacitors are over here, while the S-foil wings open up to provide more stability in atmosphere, and shed heat via these radiator surfaces. Making sure to open these when you expected to lay heavy on the guns and push the engine, so that's why you always see them opening up before combat.
Set his foils in the tech position.
Other interesting things to note is the fact that the Jedi did not wear any life support systems like the clone pilots, and this was meant to evoke confidence in their men, knowing that any slight crack in the Eta-2, which had no shielding, could lead to a loss of oxygen and quick death in space. And that smaller capacitors to save on weight meant that when paired with the full-size standard laser cannons, they could not fire for long. Though this wasn't usually a problem with Jedi pilots who were always efficient with every shot, waiting until they see the reds of the droid's photoreceptor eyes. Now when these flew off the orbital shipyards, this compact design allowed many more Eta-2 ships to be accommodated in hangars that could previously only hold a few Delta-7s and Delta-7B craft. As a result, the Venator-class Star Destroyer could carry a standard fighter complement of 192 Eta-2s. The initial prototype of the Eta-2 saw action during the early clashes with the Valahari people. Piloted by Anakin Skywalker, this craft faced off against Tophan Vane's advanced Tempest Zero starfighter. In the pivotal battle of the Vale Nebula, the prototype's prowess was proven when it downed Vane's ship, securing a crucial Republic victory over the Separatists. This triumph spurred extensive production and widespread deployment of the Eta-2 within the Republic Navy, far surpassing the limited use of the Delta-7 and Delta-7B, which had been reserved for the Jedi. The Eta's innovative design and compact size set the standard for the later Empire's TIE fighters, making them affordable, modular, and remarkably effective. Eta-2s flown by the Jedi were often modified for even greater speed. Heavy sensors and flight instruments were stripped away, deemed unnecessary for pilots with precognitive force abilities. While many Jedi, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, preferred standard factory models with red or blue hues on a white undercoat, others opted for more unique color schemes. Anakin flew a bright yellow craft with metallic undercoat, which was a nod to his childhood pod racer. Some speculated that the vibrant color was intended to draw attention during battle. And though he would lose this distinctive fighter during the Battle of Coruscant, he later used a more standard green and white craft during the mission to Mustafar, while Saesee Tinn's interceptor was green and Mace Windu's was adorned with purple accents. Kuat Systems Engineering quickly adapted to the needs of the Jedi, providing those variants of the Eta-2 within months of its introduction. Building on their experience with the Delta-7 Aethersprite-class light interceptor, the manufacturers began testing new models even before receiving feedback from Jedi pilots. The first variant was the high maneuver model, inspired by similar modifications to the Delta-7. Following this, a heavy defense variant emerged after Saesee Tiin removed several unnecessary offensive systems from his Eta-2, with Tiin being considered the best pilot in the galaxy, that is until Anakin came along and they developed a healthy rivalry. Initially unpopular, this defensive version gained favor after proving its worth during the Battle of Coruscant, with the standard model coming out at a cost of 290,000 credits, the high maneuver going for 320, and only 310 for the heavy defense variant. As the Clone Wars progressed, another variant was introduced, featuring a triad of thrusters and lacking an astromech socket. This model further expanded the versatility and deployment of the Eta-2 in the waning days of this war. It became one of the first starfighter models utilized by the Imperial Navy, with squadrons flying in formation above Coruscant as part of the security detail following the establishment of the Galactic Empire. Darth Vader would receive a new black Eta-2, and he piloted this craft during his early missions for Emperor Palpatine amidst the Great Jedi Purge, often accompanied by V-Wing starfighters. In these missions, Vader was assisted by his droid R4K5. Elements of the Eta-2 were incorporated into the Sinar Fleet Systems line of TIE fighters. Features like the vertical radiator panels, twin ion engines, and the spoked viewing port would evolve in the TIE Fighter series, where the spoked port became the main viewport of these fighters. The most significant legacy of the Actis-class was its design philosophy. It demonstrated that smaller, more nimble, unshielded, and relatively under-equipped fighters, when mass-produced, could outperform fewer, bulkier, well-armed, and better protected starfighters. This was evidenced during the Battle of Coruscant, where lighter and more agile fighters inflicted substantial losses on heavier counterparts. This led to the dominance of the TIE Fighter series and the eventual phasing out of superior quality fighters like the ARC-170. Although this decision eventually backfired on the Imperial Navy. The ARC-170's successor, the T-65 X-Wing, proved capable of taking out entire swarms of TIE fighters, and especially when using them in their ambush role with their hyperdrives, the rebels were able to exploit the TIE fighters' weaknesses throughout almost every conflict of the Galactic Civil War. And there is a bit of poetic justice here, as the Emperor had killed off all the Jedi. Unlike the Clone Wars, where most Eta-2 pilots were Jedi who survived due to their Force abilities and skills, TIE pilots, though well trained, really could have used that shield generator, and as a result, TIE casualty rates were incredibly high, which had this race-to-zero effect, as across the Empire at scale, it prevented pilots from gaining the experience needed to become veterans. These pilots either never saw combat, or would be killed after only a few run-ins with the rebels, and so there were very few highly skilled TIE fighter pilots. During the Galactic Civil War, some Eta-2s remained operational within the Imperial Navy and were reserved for skilled pilots. Some were captured and used by the Rebel Alliance and various other factions, with one notable example being the Lonely Five, owned by Jedi Knight Rachi Sitra and used by the Rebel Alliance. Then there was a variant of the Eta-2 Interceptor utilized by the New Jedi Order and the Galactic Alliance Navy around 40 ABY, which was 36 years after the Battle of Endor. It bore some similarities with its predecessor, but was strangely classified as a type of A-Wing. The Eta-5 featured a pair of wing arrays reminiscent of the Eta-2, but its overall hull shape aligned more closely with the A-Wings, complete with solar panels mounted on struts extending from midway up the fuselage. The Interceptor's cramped cockpit was equipped with rocker arms on the seat, providing the pilot with control in tight spaces. Powered by twin ion engines, it kept the spirit of the Eta-2 and boasted top-of-the-line speed and maneuverability, while having light armor, but now at least it had minimal shielding. It was armed with dual fire-linked concussion missile launchers, twin laser cannons, and advanced computer-aided targeting systems, enabling it to engage small capital ships effectively, and I don't just mean ramming into the bridge. And its overall look did lead most to just call it an A-Wing. In 40 ABY, Sile Antilles, daughter of the famed pilot Wedge Antilles, flew an Eta-5 when she joined the Galactic Alliance military under the alias Lysa Dunter. She served as Vibrosword 7 in the Vibrosword Squadron based on the Galactic-class battle carrier Dodonna during Operation Roundabout on Corellia, which was just before the onset of the Second Galactic Civil War. However, due to illicit Corellian activities, she had to leave the squadron and was reassigned to pilot the new Aleph-class starfighters. Pilot Rysati Yearn also used an Eta-5 during Lando Calrissian's mission to save Kessel from destruction. She briefly loaned the fighter to Wedge Antilles, who just wanted to see how it flew. And later he used it to protect the Millennium Falcon from an energy spider, showcasing just how versatile and combat effective this thing was. These engagements highlighted the Eta-5's importance, and so though a strange-looking craft, it really did keep up the spirit of the Eta-2 in terms of speed, agility, and firepower. And in a way makes this one of the longest-lasting ship lines ever seen. And so that's it for its breakdown, but as for behind-the-scenes facts, It was designed for Revenge of the Sith, and the look was intended to bridge the visual and conceptual gap between the prequel and original trilogies, wanting to evoke the aesthetics of both the TIE Fighter and the TIE Advanced X-1, with features like the segmented cockpit window and the bent wing formation and targeting systems akin to Vader's personal starfighter. The prototype Eta-2 model that Anakin uses in Hero of the Confederacy arc draws from concept art of Revenge of the Sith, and it's featured in the 2005 book The Art of Star Wars Episode 3. Though there are some inconsistencies regarding the introduction timeline of the Eta-2s. In the 2005 series Star Wars The Clone Wars, Anakin is first shown piloting his interceptor immediately following his knighthood ceremony in Chapter 21. Though in the Clone Wars 12, we see the first prototype of the Eta-2 when Anakin is already an established knight with Ahsoka as his Padawan. In Labyrinth of Evil, Anakin and Obi-Wan's Eta-2 interceptors are described as being equipped with missile launchers, which conflicts with the official technical specifications and is what inspired the variants. And many sources would have it with these missiles, from the Hasbro Jedi Starfighters action vehicles to the Pocket Models trading card game and Battlefront 2, they all have them being used by clone pilots and Obi-Wan Kenobi. There are also some inconsistencies on the placement of the laser cannons from Battlefront, Renegade Squadron, and Darth Vader in The Lost Command 2, where people are switching out the ions on the outside with the laser cannons in the middle. If you want to learn more, be sure to check out the Essential Guide to Warfare, Clone Wars Campaign Guide, complete cross-sections books, and the TIE Fighter Owner's Manual. And again, thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Be sure to download today via the link down below. Available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. New and returning players who haven't played for at least 6 months also get a huge bonus pack. Please hit that like button, it's the best way to help me out. Subscribe to see more, and check out these videos, I'm sure you'll like them. But most important of all, remember, we're not all supernatural psychic monks, so make sure you pay for that shield generator, and the Force will be with you, always.